now?
Yes, this is what they do.
The Large Hadron Collider.
Yes, yes. It's all published. It's fucking published. It's so crazy. You know, they do this, they put out the papers fully knowing and trusting that nobody can read and understand them.
They say that they're going to switch on the collider next year in 2021. Do you think this has something to do with what is going on in the world right now with the coronavirus and the power structure?
Possible, yes.
Because they talked about, of course, wanting to find this God particle, but many researchers say that they open portals to allow more demonic archon entities into this realm, or to change the timeline in some kind of way.
Yes, they do all sorts of things. They have these computers that are aligned with parallel space-time sheets where evil entities feed us with their artificial intelligence. So
from parallel dimensions?
Yes, yes.
Not this one?
Not this one.
But they're here as well?
The computer is here, and then in the parallel dimension there's an equal computer at the same place, and then they cool it down to a certain temperature, and then the two timelines meet in the computer. And the entities on the other side, in the other space-time sheet, supply us with calculating powers or their technological realm. This is what these quantum computers are about. And you can go to the lectures of the CEO of the company delivering, and he will state exactly this. It's not a secret.
And they talk about entities also.
Yes, they also talk about archons that are involved in this system. They're quite honest about what they do.
So is it the archons, this what the Gnostics call the archons, Christians call demons, Muslims call the jinn, and many names for it, that are the controllers of this realm within our matrix at least? And would you say, when we talk about parallel universes, would you say that all of the parallel universes of Earth, let's say, is that within the same matrix?
No. Matrix is a different concept. Let's first maybe take a look on archons and what this is all about, kind of. We experience duality. Duality is a state of a planet where you have the collective consciousness of the planet based in the brain of the planet, which is liquid black goo, part of crude oil. So this is nature. It's beautiful, it's divine, it's in the divine order. And then certain planets experience duality, which means that a traumatized, non-incarnated planetary spirit is added on. So it's like within humans, if I should die and I'm not happy to go into the light and be reincarnated, then I have the option to have a look at you and say, wow, I would like to be your attaching spirit. And then I dive into your body and I start trying to conquer your body, getting control over it. And then you will feel irritated that suddenly you have thoughts in yourself that are not yours but mine.
So you don't have to be an archon or a demonic entity to take possession.
No, a human can do that as well. You see this with alcoholics. When an alcoholic dies and doesn't go into the light, he will spend his time in bars, and when somebody topples over because he's so drunk that he faints and goes out, then, these non-incarnated spirits dive into the body because they are still addicted to this influence of alcohol, to re-experience it. This is what spirits do when they're lost. And this happens within humans, and it happens in between planets. When a planet goes self-destroyed and the planetary consciousness is highly traumatized due to self-destruction by the species living on it, it can happen that survivors of the species collect the black goo of the planet, go on spaceships, and make sure that another planet is infected by their black goo, because they need this also to live there.
And please also just, when you talk about black goo, and you have spoken about it a lot, just briefly for people to really understand what is black goo.
It's a self-organizing black liquid consisting of mainly carbon hydrates, but also M-state precious metals, C60 carbon fibers, hollow carbon fibers. That is something similar to a DNA grid. A DNA grid has spacings of 1 millimeter. Black goo has much smaller spacings in between the M-state matter, and the M-state matter is actually what carries consciousness. So, within the biosphere, you've got an M-state matter in a DNA, kind of using the DNA as an antenna to be able to communicate over a distance of 1 millimeter, which is cell size, average cell size. While within the black goo, you have a very dense cluster of M-state matter in these tiny little carbon hollow fibers. So it's also an antenna grid, but it's much more dense, but it also carries consciousness. So every biosphere is split into two mirror halves. We are actually the sensors of a planet. We are on the surface and we collect experience, while the collective consciousness, the part of the consciousness that is based on this black goo that is part of crude oil, is collecting this experience and serving with blueprints for life, serving with instincts, and serving with everything that we don't have the time to learn. Because incarnations are so short, so when whatever an animal gets born, it immediately knows how to behave. How? Because it's connected to those collective aspects. This is the natural concept of black goo, and there are technologically modified versions of these liquids around.
Would it be fair to say, if I just jump in here, that black goo is like the blood of the planet?
Yes, or the liquid brain. But the blood is a nice expression.
And can you see it and feel it, touch it?
Yes, it looks like crude oil, just that it moves on its own.
But it's not the oil that they dig for.
No, but sometimes you get portions of that when you dig for the crude oil. Like in Iran, for example, I know they have a quality, they call it non-refinable oil. They just pump it into lakes. And when you go to that lake and stand on the edge, it mirrors you and starts to talk to you.
How?
It's conscious and it is self-organizing.
Have you had that experience?
Partly. I saw alien black goo liquefied from meteorites, where this is how it got here, by a meteorite shower hitting 26,000 years ago. So I had friends who extracted that from the meteorite material, and I saw it self-organizing. It looked like insect eyes, and it moved independently, and it had this kind of thrill uniting the two portions, so it tried to fight its way out of the box it was in.
So it is an alien entity in a way.
It is a living organism, but not incarnating. It's immortal as a substance.
We have seen something like that on the X-Files, that popular television show in the 90s, where people actually absorb or are invaded by this black substance, even going into the eyes.
Exactly.
Is that what we're talking about
This
here?
is what we're talking about, and there's a lot of it around in the technological realm. It's used in computer technology. I remember Miles Johnston from BASIS. He was working for BBC, fixing antenna systems, and he had these black goo creeping around antennas, modifying the signals sent out by BBC to overlay it with mind control signals.
Wow.
So this is what he found. Morgellon victims have black goo coming out of their feet at times. So there's a lot around of it. This is all the alien type. The Earth type is just underground, and it's very friendly, very loving. And this is kind of all okay. To have those two types here is duality. And we incarnate on this planet not to have fun, not to be loving and experiencing only good things. We're here for the thrill of it. So we decided to incarnate on a planet that is in this phase of going through a dualistic spiritual experience.
Did we decide, or were we hijacked by these archons creating a fake soul trap, a fake white light? Let's say what religions call heaven, and they lure you into this beautiful feeling of bliss. You see a live review, and then you're advised or asked if you want to go back, and then you go back to a new body with a wiped memory, not being able to remember your past lives. And then it goes again and again because these archons supposedly feed on your energy, anxiety, fear, angst, what have you.
I think this is a bit about gaming addiction. Imagine you meet a friend and you decide to play a game together. And in this game, one is a goodie, one is a baddie, and then you get involved into the plot. And then the game comes to an end. But by that time, you lost yourself to a degree where the gaming addiction is just stronger than anything else. So the question is, who is getting those players out of the game to call them back to unity? This is the big question, and there is a resistance from the players to leave the field. This is what we experience now, the attempt to prolong this duality experience into a matrix, to avoid humanity ascending into consciousness realms that are back connected with source, out of duality into unity consciousness. Some of these players don't like that idea, so they try to basically create some side way where they can maneuver parts of humanity into a prolonged experience of not even duality. It's also a monolithic control system because they don't even have the choice to be good anymore. It's not duality. It's kind of the evil version that tries to split off to keep things under control, pretending it's for the general good.
Through that white light frequency, heaven.
Yeah, kind of. It's not love, it's a replacement for love, where because they know that we haven't experienced love for so long, we would buy into it, mistaking it.
Because the sensation, according to a lot of near-death experiencers, is a feeling of incredible bliss.
Yes.
And beauty, and they see their dead relatives, looking their best.
But it's not love. Love is something else.
What is love?
Golden.
The golden light?
It's golden, it's not white. When it's white, it's fake.